Hello and welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are playing through the closing chapter on Chiaki's route. Everything's a mess, basically. Takeya and Io are trying to smooth things over unsuccessfully. Haruki can't even stand being in his own apartment because he can't stop thinking about the person who called themselves Chiaki. Even if I try to shut my eyes and go to sleep, I'd only wake up without anything to do and find myself staring at the ceiling again. The shock I received back then was so large that I wasn't able to do anything for a while, and not to the point where I could run out of patience. Even so, given my own fussy disposition, it took me 72 hours before I was finally fed up with loitering around in a daze all by myself. From there on out, I started actively running away. I cleaned up my apartment, did the laundry, and studied for my exams. I don't think that's running away, I think that's just living your life. I did my best to do things that demanded physical and mental activity in order to pass the time without thinking about anything. After the next 3 days, I finally completely lost sight of what I should be doing and went out into the streets, wanting to distract myself with the hustle and bustle of a crowded place.
南末継です。お降りの際は開くドアにご注意ください。
2 hours after that, the sun has finally set, and the chilly air from the day has now become a penetrating cold that freezes to the core. My breath is white, the tip of my nose is icy, and my extremities have gone numb. From head to toe, the very climate of winter toys with my body. I've cornered myself in such a miserable situation, but despite how obviously absurd it may seem, I've finally come to a realization. The fact that Chiaki's betrayal is excruciatingly painful. Yeah, I mean, as obvious as it sounds, it takes a while to come to terms with that kind of thing. It's disheartening, to the same degree as when Setsuna and I parted from one another.
1番線、ドアが閉まります。ご注意ください。
I met her half a year ago, and she decided to get close to me one-sidedly. She would often be met with sermons from me whenever she found an opportunity to exploit me. The circumstances, the attitude, the way we were stuck with each other's company, it was all too convenient for us to get closer to each other. I curse whatever powers above may be that are whatever powers above may be that are responsible for this, but the sigh that escapes my mouth does nothing but rise gently into the sky. But in reality, it's got nothing to do with the work of a higher power. It was the result of a performance by a single prodigy of an actress.
一緒に堕落しようね。
No, so sad. I've already been corrupted, much like she's suggested, but I won't be able to see her arrive no matter how long I wait in the deepest depths of hell. And yet, to think that I'm miserable because she isn't here by my side right now, instead of the fact that I was tricked. Well, that's just due to the fact that you relied so heavily on her. It is because you were tricked. You're just immediately seeking her as your escape, which you can't do. I'm an even bigger fool than she is, aren't I? The people that disembark the train trail out through the exit gates, bringing a temporary silence to the platform yet again. Having had my fill of this mix of noise and silence, after 2 hours, I stand up and trail after the backs of all those other people rushing on their way home. No sooner after I received my baptism, that consisted of sitting still for more than 2 hours, did I find myself sitting on the bench again. The oxygen in my brain instantly drains, and the color from my view disappears, followed by a fade to black. Ooh, be careful. I can't help but laugh at myself for how stereotypical it is to get dizzy from standing up too fast. Since there's no helping it, I close my eyes and look upward while taking in the darkness, trying to rush the blood back to my head. That way, the vertigo will slowly settle down and I should regain my ability to see normally. But after a few minutes pass, I realize this isn't a simple case of lack of oxygen in the brain. What the heck? Turns out my hell is just crumbling apart. I'm just being done in by the cold. Or it's actually because the balance between my heart and my body had already broken down a while ago. Very scary. Definitely need to see a doctor. Realizing that, I feel the scornful laugh I aimed toward myself just now, turning into a smile of reassurance. That's convenient. At least this way my mind will start to go numb. No, not healthy at all. Giving a bad example. For a short while, I'll be able to forget about her. Very dangerous mindset. I reach for my cell phone beside my pillow in a daze. My entire body is fatigued as always. After struggling to get back home after that, I collapsed onto my bed. After that, the day seemed to pass into Sunday somehow, and enough time has passed to the point where it's now already a time where it's almost noon. During that entire time, besides getting up to quench my thirst, I'd succumbed to this dreamless sleep that I'd always been hoping for.
はい。あ、出た。携帯なんだから出て当然だろう。そんなくだらないことを確認するために、俺の貴重な携帯バッテリーの寿命を削ったのか。
As of recent, I've been ignoring calls for the past 10 days, but my tone comes out in a brazenly offhanded manner.
元気そうだな。
Perhaps it's because this strange feeling of comfort that I haven't had in a while is interrupted, that a slight irritation rises up from the depths of my dazed consciousness.
元気なわけあるか。まだ頭がフラフラしてる。熱下がんね。
Muttering that, at the same time I raise my hand to my forehead and shake my head, trying to check my own status. And to nobody's surprise, it's exactly as I said. My fever hasn't gone down yet. I don't really want to think about my current situation and how I have to tackle things like final exams starting tomorrow. Whew, you are in for it. Although I was grateful for it up until now.
ああ、それでか。
何が？
今日英語詞の試験来なかったからさ。出席も取らない講義に毎回出てたくせに試験だけサボるなんて豪気だなーって。
待て。今日何曜日だって？
If I'm remembering correctly, English history should be on the second day. The phone call with my seminar colleague reveals that it's been 3 days since that night somehow. Meaning that I collapsed on Saturday night and was stuck in bed with that nightmare until noon on Tuesday. No, I was actually just fast asleep. I measured my temperature to discover that it was exactly 39 degrees. That said, why haven't I recovered at all, despite resting for so long?
普通さ、風邪ひいた時とかってゆっくり寝て何もしないで 薬飲んで。そうやって体が治るまでじっとしてるよね。
Also, he should have gone to the doctor immediately. If you're getting blackouts, do not do what Haruki does. And I did exactly what you said. I slept properly, took it easy, and took my medicine. I'm forgetting something, aren't I? I'm such an idiot. After exhausting myself like that, how can I even think about recovering without proper nourishment? I haven't been eating anything for the past few days.
だとさ、これで3科目パーだな、あいつ。ってそっけなの。わざわざ代わりに電話かけてやったのに。
ああ、面倒かけたね。
だいたいどうして自分でかけなかったんだ。お前ら付き合ってんじゃなかったのか。
どうでもいいじゃん、そんなこと。ただ試験に来てなかったからどうしたのかなって思っただけ。
それだけ？心配じゃないのか。
心配は心配だけど、今はそれどころじゃないし。
How cold.
ま、そうだよな。今回全部落としても進級は余裕の北原に比べて、泉は一つでもミスったら。
進級なんかどうでもいいけどね。
She really doesn't care about anything else.
まあいいや、ありがとう。それじゃあ私帰るから。
あ、おい、ちょっと。
やだな、もう本当にナイーブなんだから、春樹は。別に振ってないってのに、あんまり困らせないでほしいな。こっちだって今一番大事な時期なんだからさ。
You ever think that maybe this is an important period for him and that you're making him worry? I mean, a lot more than worry. Broke his heart, but just saying.
悪いけど今は温めてあげらんないよ、春樹。なんて、そっちから願い下げかな。
パスタ、レトルトカレー、カップ焼きそば、クラッカー、缶詰、ミネラルウォーター、あとは調味料。
After despairing over the fridge that only contained drinks, I searched the bottom drawer of the tableware cabinet as a last hope and thankfully found some food I've stashed away for an emergency. However, I'm currently faced with food that only someone healthy would be able to appreciate despite being sick. Dried noodles, stimulants, heartburn-inducing foods, insipidly dry pieces. My currently feeble digestive system isn't capable of accepting any of those right now. Order takeout. Order like a takeout soup. The moment I consider the thought of heading to the convenience store, my body collapses languidly, as if to refuse the idea, miserably slumping itself onto the floor. Call Takea. In my current state, I'd probably need an ambulance before I'd even reach the apartment building's gate. That's why the amount of energy it would take to cook by myself at home would probably be more dangerous. Even so, if I'm going to continue sleeping without eating anything like this, judging by how I've been for the last 3 days, I'm not going to get any better. After several seconds of hesitation, a wise saying flashes inside my head. You won't be troubling anyone, even if you've fallen sick at your own home. Although it's quite probable that I'm unable to make a rational decision in my feverish state right now, I resolved myself to first figure out a way to get through my hunger with my own strength. And yet, the moment I start thinking about what to do next, in the end, I can only repeat my sighs of hopelessness from a few seconds ago. Oh, Haruki, stop running around in your head. Please just order takeout or call your friends. Pasta, retort curry, instant yakisoba, crackers, and canned food. In the end, ingredients that were suitable for cooking weren't available in the first place. if I'm going to make something that's at least somewhat edible out of all of this, it could only be spaghetti or rice mixed with canned food.
そうだ。
At that moment, my head formulated the thought of a dish meant for the sick that's just a little irregular.
よし、それじゃあ始めるぞ。みんな集まって。試験中に集まってもらってすまない。だが初日までもう一月を切ってる。これからは1分1秒たりとも無駄にはできない。というわけで今日のところは第1幕を通しでやってみたい。吉田、頼むな。
分かってますって。今日はちゃんと読み込んできてる。
瀬野内、何かあるか？
He looks like he could be Haruki's cousin.
姫。一言あるかって聞いたんだが。
ああ、そうね。演技で気をつけてほしいところは、
どうした？
悪い。今日は乗らない。各自個人練習に切り替えて。
は？
Uh-huh.
おい、姫。
座長。
じゃあ個人練習始めちゃおっか。
Oh, he's trying to remain positive.
やってられるか！
As the president, you know, you would think he would talk to someone or scold them at least. 3 cups of water, soy sauce, sake, salt, and dashi stock. It'll be okay to use canned food for the main ingredient. However, I can't have the flavor be too strong. By adding some pasta sauce, it'll have the nice flavor of a risotto. After the rice has been cooked, I'll boil the water, add the ingredients, simmer them until soft before turning off the gas and cracking in an egg. A hot vapor drifted in the air around the stove that I turned off in a panic. But there was no smell to it, just the insipid steam that comes from the evaporation of hot water. Despite how the heat's been turned off, the inside of the pot is hot enough to cause the water to froth and overflow.
危ね
It looks like the pot was just left boiling on its own for the same amount of time I cooked in my dream, while I was exposed to the steam and dozed off. What I'm left with is an even greater fatigue and the sensation of emptiness in my stomach that goes hand in hand with an appetite. Jeez, this is way too dangerous. Together with the overflowing sweat from my body, I feel like the small amount of physical strength I have left is being completely stripped away. This could be genuinely really bad. It's at the level where I have to seriously consider being taken away by an ambulance. It seems like my body's become weak lately. Or maybe it's my heart that's gone weak? Or perhaps I'm getting what I deserve? No, come on. Did I end up getting betrayed because I betrayed someone myself? Have I been so incapable of helping others because all I've done is wait for others to help me? What the hell? In the end, this is all my fault, isn't it? Listen, if something terrible happens to you and then you blame it away because, oh, well, it's my fault, I did this thing, it is so awful for other people to hear. Like, it's hard to even pity you at that point. Like, you're just making excuses as to why you're not going to climb over this hurdle because you think you deserve it. Very annoying.
お弁当温めますか？
ああ、少しぬるめにお願い。病人が食べるんだから気をつけてよ。
かしこまりました。かき揚げ天丼1つ、カツカレー1つ、合計で1120円になります。
Oh, you were just a minute too late, Chiaki.
ごめんね、突然押しかけちゃって。
I'm unquestionably hallucinating right now. Oh, Haruki. Usually when the doorbell rings, I'd always check who my guest is through the intercom.
試験なのに、春樹くん来てないって聞いて、それで研究室に電話してみたの。
なんで？
As I thought, I'm unquestionably hallucinating right now. What am I doing blurting out an answer for a question that hasn't even been asked yet?
来てよかった。
せつな、ダメだって。もし映ったら。
And yet, right now, the intensity in Setsuna's eyes is definitely not a hallucination, when I think about it.
すぐにベッドに入って。
来客がいるのに。
そんなこと言ってられる状況じゃないっていうのは、春樹くんの顔見たら誰でもわかるよ。
Setsuna shows a rare expression and tone of anger. Because that's a thing. You have to take care of yourself or else other people are going to get mad. Like, hey, you're not taking care of my friend. You know what I mean? Like, you are something to other people.
どうしてじっとしていられないの？どう見たって立ってられないくらいだってわかるよ。
いや、さっきまではじっとしてたんだって。ただ食事を。ごめん。
However, I notice a slight hint of Setsuna's teary expression, something which is very characteristic of her.
ご飯なら私が作るから、お雑炊でいいよね。
As I obediently go back to my bed, Setsuna unpacks the ingredients one by one from the shopping bag she's holding in her hand. And honestly, this right here, I think shows a difference between Setsuna and Chiaki. Setsuna brought ingredients to make him a homemade meal. Chiaki went and got lunch boxes from the convenience store. Like, I'm not saying you have to cook to be a good wife, but it's definitely an extra level of personal care. They don't seem to be portions meant for a person or two, but rather a large variety that can sustain a single person for a week. After placing these items in the fridge and arranging them, Setsuna finally turns her attention to the messy kitchen that I was in earlier. And her gaze stopped there. On the soup boiling in the pot and the can of vongole I left next to it.
それは、米だけは残ってたから。
これは料理のできない人でも作れる料理で、病気で動けない人でも作れる料理とは違うんだよ。
Setsuna still remembers. 3 years ago, the single dish that Setsuna taught me how to make, the only dish I had ever made for Kazusa.
本当に来てよかった。来てよかったよ。
せつな。
That was the face and voice that I had been waiting for almost a month. Be it looking at her teary eyes or listening to her sobbing as she reprimands me, it's all been a month since.
できたら起こすから。だからゆっくり眠って。
Oh, Setsuna's so sweet. I wonder why my gaze is unable to leave Setsuna's back, even after nodding back. You shouldn't feel glad that you've come here. Of course she's glad she comes here. She's been waiting for this for so long. You're not supposed to be able to bring yourself to forgive me. I've committed a new sin against you, you know? Do you know that I'm still betraying you even now, Setsuna? No, you're not. Those are words that I absolutely have to tell her, but I'm only capable of sealing them inside right now. While Setsuna isn't looking, I burn the sight of Setsuna's figure that I've not seen for a long time, deep into my eyes. And I line up convenient excuses like getting carried away because of my fever. Don't blow on it too hard, you'll pass out. What Setsuna had prepared for me was simple. A light porridge mixed with cabbage and other vegetables like chives. Something that would be easy for me to digest. Come to think of it, is this small bit that I'm tasting in my mouth a clam from the vongole sauce?
飲み込める？
I've been waiting for solid food for almost a week, but given how this is gently cooked, it slides down my throat smoothly.
ゆっくり食べたいだけでいいからね。
My concerns of my stomach's vehement rejection of her food have thankfully been baseless. Contrarily, my stomach's starting to work properly, slowly satisfying my intense hunger.
残しても大丈夫だから。冷蔵庫に入れておいて、後でチンすれば。今の話、チンするってお母さんの口癖なの。やだな、映っちゃった。
Oh, that's cute. It's like the equivalent of zap it in English.
払わないでよ。さすがに私でもおばさん臭いって思うよ。
悪い。
As I carelessly take another sip of the porridge, the heat in my mouth starts to sting, as if to punish me for laughing at her. And yet, this stinging sensation is one that brings back memories. And regardless of how painful the heat in my mouth is, my spoon isn't stopping in delivering portions of porridge into my mouth.
どうして誰にも連絡しなかったの？
Because it's Haruki and he never asks for help.
悪い。
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
私じゃなくても、イオやタケヤくん頼ればよかったじゃない。誰でもちゃんと看病してくれたよ。
It makes your friends feel like you can't rely on them, and it just makes them feel bad. Perhaps it's because she feels slightly at ease upon seeing me properly eating, and now Setsun is starting to reprimand me a little.
昼間ずっと寝てたし、少しだけ目が覚めるといつも真夜中でさ。今電話したら迷惑かなって。
迷惑なわけないよ。昔は夜中の3時だって平気で電話してたじゃない。
Very true. She's completely defeated your retort.
それは。
あの時辛かった、苦しかったって言われる方が、たった今辛い、苦しいって言われるより、私には辛くて苦しいんだからね。
理解しにくいぞ、その言い回し。
やっと春樹くんらしいツッコミが入ったね。明日もしっかり休むんだよ。ちゃんと治るまで大学もバイトも禁止だからね。
そんなことしたら試験が。俺、進級できなくなるって。
If you would have just called the university and been like, hey, I'm doing extremely bad, they would have given you an exception, even if you had to visit the doctor and get like an approval or whatever.
その代わり、明日は病院行って診断書もらってくるの。そしたら先生たちも考慮してくれるよ。
There you go. See? Smart.
そうかな。
春樹くんはどうせ出席率いいんだから大丈夫。なんて、私の保証じゃ頼りないか。
No.
そんなこと。
病院行くのも辛いかな。そしたら私、付き添うよ。
I think you should definitely not leave Haruki alone. You cannot trust him.
いいよ。
In more ways than
刹那
one.
だって試験あるだろ。
私の方は昨日でもう安全圏突破しました。一番危ないと思ってたフランス語の手応えがよくってね。
そっか。
一緒に進級しようね。一緒に卒業できるといいね。
Aww. I can't give a proper reply due to my fever right now. But the heat of the porridge that I'm putting into my mouth right now hurts, causing tears to leak from my eyes. I don't think that's why you're crying.
おかわりいる？
I'm immediately appeased by Setsuna's kind sermons that are different from my own, just like how I was satisfied with the porridge she made. Her sermons are entirely kind to the very end, and you can feel the warmth permeating from them, unlike the pushy sermons I give. Aw, that's a really cute way to compare the two. Alright, we will stop there for today. Thank you so much for being here on this part of Chiaki's route, and I'll be back with more shortly. Until then, I hope you take care. See you!